Hello and welcome to No Man's Land, the survival multi-craft Let's Play where you can play with me. If you like seeing what's going on in the world and you want to join and hang out and play with me, contact me on Twitter or Discord. The links will be in the description below and we can have a conversation about you joining in the world. I'm Shisho Shroom, and today we are placing all of the dirt on top of the mountain and getting started on a wither skeleton farm. We're gonna kick things off in the nether because I want to build a wither skeleton farm, and I've actually already built it, which is this torch path that we're following. It's going to lead us to the wither skeleton farm. I really just want to show you guys the progress and what it is essentially. It doesn't take a lot to build a wither skeleton farm. Technically, the longest part of this farm is the spawn proofing. So building the actual structure took maybe 20 minutes. 30 if you include the time it took to clear out the nether fortress that was there. Now, this is how we get down there, and it takes a long time to get to the bottom of this long vine. Now, this is actually the second time that I've come back to the wither skeleton farm because I took a little bit of time to kind of detail it and make it look a little bit nicer so it's not just a spotty farm. And this one realistically doesn't take a whole lot to look nice. It's just a simple interior. And we've got these little air vents down here that harbor the chests that will have items in it. Right now they don't have a whole lot of anything because this farm hasn't been up for very long and it hasn't been running for very long. This is behind the scenes, so you can essentially just see that there's filters searching for certain items. This one's looking for the skulls. I had one from building this farm. This one's bones. Last one is coal. That's annoying. And up here is the actual kill chamber. So I have dogs set up so that I can just AFK here. They're both named Stan. Hello, Stans. I appreciate your help. The farm works by being a spawning platform filled to the brim with wither roses, and it is that way because every other mob sees the wither roses and sees that it will take damage if it spawns there, so it won't. The wither skeleton, however, is immune to the wither effect, so it can spawn and not take damage on top of the wither roses. After that, once it's here, it sees the piglin in the center, hates the piglin, and chases after him, falling down into a kill chamber. And that's what I was just showing you earlier, where they sit and wait to die. This is how it works. Now, the difficult part of the wither skeleton farm is the spawn proofing required to make it work. You can't torch up everything in the nether because then ghasts can still spawn, and so can hoglins depending on the light level. Torches don't work, and the only other way to make sure that nothing can spawn is to remove everything, cover it all in lava, or half slab it. Realistically, it would take way too many lava buckets to move them around and get all of that area, whereas half slabs are very cheap and easy for me to get. So that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna half slab a 128 block radius of the entirety of the farm. So that's gonna take a very long time. I'm not gonna do that all right now. Building the farm itself, 20 minutes. Half slabbing that little area that you can see, 6 hours. This is gonna take a very long time to get the entire area. And it will slowly get a little bit easier as you kill some mobs and they spawn a little bit further away and you aren't dealing with them, but there are a lot of mobs to deal with while spawn proofing this, so it does just take a lot of time. So we will definitely do some things periodically here and there, spawn proofing bits of the nether occasionally in between other projects, since it's just gonna take a very long time. For now, let's head back to the mountain and let's get some of the dirt placed in. Now, before I move forward, I need to get more trim around the top and the bottom of the dirt, and I also want to get the river that's going to go right in here set up and in place, and I want that river to come out into the main area and go into a little lake, and then I can finish up the detail work inside that little cave as well as finish up the detail work on the side of the mountain. Now, I need to get the trim kind of where you see that dirt just suddenly turns off into one solid line. I want to build it up so that it's got a little bit more presence and it's a little bit more separation from the side wall of the mountain and the rim of the peak of the mountain. I also want the same thing at the base so that there's kind of a separation between the mountain and normal Minecraft terrain. The river I want to have coming out and going back into that river right over there. And I want it to look like the river in my mountain is coming from the naturally formed Minecraft river. I also want to get the rest of the light sources on the side of the mountain, but before any of that, I want to get all of the dirt dirt in place on top of the mountain. And after many hours of grinding away at the mountain, we have finished the trim all the way around, and you can kind of see that dirt at the top and at the bottom, and it creates a point of separation between where the mountain turns back into regular Minecraft terrain and also where it's going to turn into the peak, or the part where the dirt is on the top. And you can see I've also kind of done a little terrain work right here to kind of make it look a little more natural as it's coming from regular Minecraft terrain into the terrain of the mountain. I've also replaced a lot of the stone with regular grass blocks, but now I would like to get that river in place and that little lake that's going to go right here in the center point of everything. So let's go into a quick time lapse and get the river put into place, and let's also get all of the dirt on top of the mountain in place as well. This has been a very long time lapse so far, so I'm not gonna make you guys watch me place every single block of dirt on top of our mountain here. So we're gonna start doing some jump cuts and progress reports until the rest of this mountain is filled in. I am really happy with how things are starting to look. Now, realistically, we've only got about half of the mountain covered with dirt, but that looks fantastic. So well done. I'm very impressed with myself. I really like how this is coming out. I'm gonna keep patting myself on the back for a couple more minutes. Now, there are a few things I don't like. However, that river looks way too straight. I want to kind of give it more of a natural curve. I want to kind of break up a little bit of the flatness of the mountain. It does kind of, in a few places, look like it's going up at a very consistent slant, and I want there to be a few ends and oddities that don't add up, as if though it were more natural and it didn't have just a straight curve to it. So in a few places, I'm going to extend the platforms, kind of like here where the gunpowder farm is, and it's got a little bit more room for a building to sit on. Around those areas, I'm going to kind of break it up a little bit on the mountain, kind of like right here where the nether tree farm is, and it kind of gives it a little bit of separation from the rest of the mountain and makes it feel like its own little spot. And I want to get a handful of those places, one over here at the wool farm and a couple more set up where I want to get some villager houses set up and a couple normal houses set up for people to play in, and then just a handful of other little precarious farms here and there. And this is a perfect example of what I was talking about, a nice flat area with a lot of open space to put down several or a handful of large buildings. This is also a perfect time to pull out a progress report. As you can see, that back part of the mountain is now completely covered with dirt on this side. There's also a little flat area. I was thinking we could maybe put a building up there at some point. I've also finished the dirt portion of the mountain on this little part of the mountain near the gunpowder farm. I have a few things more that I would like to do, starting with filling in that portion of the dirt that is missing on that side of the mountain, but I also feel like the best shot and angle for the mountain is covered by another mountain. So I might end up taking that down. For now, however, that's another project for another time. Let's get back to filling in this dirt. And just like that, after weeks and weeks of collecting all the stone, collecting all the dirt, removing a mountain that was previously there, we have finally built a custom mountain. Now, it's not perfect. There is still a lot of work that needs to be done, but we have the shape, we have all the stone placed in, all the dirt placed in, some farms on top. Things are really progressing outstandingly too. Just look at how amazing this whole mountain looks. I am so happy with how this is turning out. This has been an extremely long project for me, and I have been having so much fun building it. The mountain is so large that it actually starts to unload parts of itself depending on the angle. And this is what I mean by the best angle is kind of skewered by another mountain. You can't really see the front of it very well because that other mountain is in the way, at least not from a low perspective where it looks like you're looking up at the mountain. So that mountain over there, I'm probably gonna look into taking away at some point so that I can get the best angle for looking at the mountain, nice and open and easier to see things. And we're gonna take a quick look here so you can really see that this is the angle that I think looks the best when you are looking at the mountain from right here, where you can see the nice farms in the background, you can see the nice entrance, the little lake that's formed from the river, the peaking mountain from the iron farm, the nice peak in the back. I love this angle, and I would love to just kind of clear out that mountain and make this the predominant place to be. Now, by no means is the mountain done, however. You can see right here, I don't like that sudden transition line where it goes from a peaking mountain to a flat surface, and I would like to kind of break that up a little bit and make it look like it's transitioning from a flat surface into a peaking mountain. There's also this really large flat area. Now, I do want to put some buildings on there, but I don't want all the buildings to be at the same level. There's places like here, for instance, where it's all kind of jangled and mixed up a little bit, where there's not really a solid point of interest, and I want to move the dirt around so that there are points of interest, kind of like that really big flat area, and places where I can put more buildings, especially like right here when there's a lot of really long openings of dirt. I want to kind of break that up, add some more solid flat areas, kind of like here, just not as big. I want them to be about as big as the area over there underneath the gunpowder farm, just big enough to house a comfortably sized building, break up the surrounding area with a little bit more dirt patches, and kind of add some layers to the mountain. This to me is just so cool, to be able to fly around inside a mountain that I have just finished creating. I'm very happy with this, and I'm really glad we finally got the dirt in place. Now, I am gonna have to adjust the storage system for the wool farm because it's kind of annoying to get up there, and I have been adjusting the storage system for the nether tree farm. I got half of it done. Essentially, all of the chests now feed into a separate system of hoppers. So the chests that didn't receive a lot of items are all being connected into one hopper, whereas the 3 sets of chests that got a lot of items are all being filtered out separately on both sides. And so down here, that just looks like 4 separate item filters that are all filtering out the same sets of items, and then into separate chests so everything gets stored in the end. Now, I haven't set up the red nether tree yet, and I want to set up the shroom light so they all go to the same one, but this way I'll never have to filter through the items manually. I can just come here to an area that I'll probably actually dig down a little bit so that there's more room, because this chest is already full. Hoppers are backlogged for days. I definitely need more storage already just for this guy alone, but then it'll be a little bit easier to kind of decorate it, make it look nice, and hide all of this. I also worked on the storage system for the gunpowder farm. There's more chests, a little bit more space for storage, and you can access it now from right here. And as you can see, we have a lot of gunpowder. We got a lot from when we were building the nether tree farm, placing on the dirt. We pretty much spawned bomb-proofed a huge chunk of the area as well. Caves too. So when you're in the general area, mobs can only spawn at the areas where we have set up farms for them to spawn. So just passively existing in this area is running a lot of the farms. And if you joined us on the live stream, then you will have seen that we've started to design how the buildings are going to look on top of the mountain that's going to make up the village. Now, I'm eventually going to want to take over more land surrounding the mountain. That way I can build a much larger village, and the size of the houses won't really matter that much because I can fit more. And that way there's more real estate. So no matter what, you know, if somebody comes in, lives in a house for 3 months and then leaves, that house being vacant at least won't take up the occupancy. There will be more houses. Hopefully we'll never get to a point where they run out. Either way, we're just gonna keep building bigger and bigger bases, and we'll never run out of houses. So, building the village here, I do want it to be extremely big. Like, I want this to be a nice sized village. So, on our live stream, we talked about a design where it could be easily replicated, but at the same time look good and unique. So, it's not gonna be a cookie cutter house, but every one of them will be a little bit different and a little bit unique in their own way. Some slightly different color palettes, some different shapes, some different sizes. It's essentially just a method of building where they all have the same artistic style, but different kinds of looks in the end. We didn't finish designing them. However, what I did do was take the designs that we'd already come up with and finished it. Let's go take a look. When we ended the live stream, I was working in this corner, and I had gotten a lot of this built up actually, and I haven't necessarily finished it entirely all the way around. However, I've put in a lot of the details. I really just need to finish up the little bit up here in the hideaways near where the windows are gonna be, but I've gone ahead and primarily replicated how it's going to look. It's not entirely done, and I will finish it before the live stream on Saturday. However, this is how the buildings are going to look in the village, on the mountain and surrounding the mountain. And as we get into taller buildings, like for instance the iron farm and the gunpowder farm and the nether tree farm, the colors are gonna look a lot different, because instead of being at most a 1-block gap between shades of red, larger buildings are gonna have the interior color palette a lot more predominant on the outside, and there aren't gonna be any windows. Now, I haven't finished any of the interior, and a lot of the interior is dependent on the situation. So this one I will also finish before the live stream, and it'll be a basic house. Essentially, the kind of house that a person would be living in if they decided to join into the server, and if they wanted to have a house made for them. So it's gonna be a house meant for player interaction. There are gonna be other kinds of houses, like what I'm gonna use this one for, villager trading purposes. And I'm gonna take all of my villagers and put them in special houses mixed up throughout the neighborhoods of people's houses, so that way it's all a little bit easier to access. Now, I've gone through and I've also added the blue coloring as well, so that you can kind of see the color differences between the blue styled houses and the red styled houses. It's essentially the exact same design, just different colors. And hopefully that'll just kind of mix it up a bit, add a slightly different flavor of coloring. Now, I really wish that dark prismarine had a wall. I feel like that would be the much better color pairing in this situation. However, prismarine works, and it doesn't look terrible. However, I do definitely prefer the red color scheme for this style of building. I think it just pops way more. The red and the black go together extremely well, but I also think that during the daytime, the blue building looks really good as well. It's just a little light is my only issue with it, and I feel like that dark prismarine color would look a lot better in its place. Now, in the next live stream, we're gonna finish designing the roof. The roof in itself should be about as difficult as designing the first 2 floors of every building, and it looks like a lot, but essentially the only things that are different from the live stream is I went ahead and added a halfway divider in color, as well as trim on the roof. Otherwise, this is essentially what we designed, just with a little bit of more horizontal coloring to kind of break apart the build and add more color to it. So this upcoming live stream, we're gonna get the roof designed and kind of figure out how is it going to work with separate houses running into each other. There are a lot of situations, especially like right here, where this is a very narrow gap. So I'm gonna have to be very careful about how close I put the houses together. I also don't like this. That's already so crowded, and I haven't even finished putting all of the detailed textures on it yet. So I definitely want to be careful about how close together all of these houses are. And I might actually decide on a permanent shape for them. Now, to build all of this, we've actually increased the amount of farms that we need to build. It may not look like a lot, but in order to build this design in just the color red, we need a piglin bartering farm, basalt generator, sand duplicator, netherwort farm, mushroom farm, mass villager curing system, regular tree farm, guardian farm, squid farm, and flower farm, which is why we're ending the episode here today. Let's go ahead and add the new farms to this list. Now, realistically, that doesn't add a whole lot of farms to our to-do list, and detailing the side walls of the mountain is going to take so long that I'm gonna build some of these out periodically while I'm working on the detail work of the mountain. And so we've got the dirt in, but it's gonna be a while until we focus on the top part of the mountain. For now, it's gonna be the sides, getting some farms in place, and once we've finished the detail work and gotten all of these farms up, we'll go ahead and start the village on the mountain. And in the meantime, we'll keep designing buildings in the live stream that are gonna go on and around the mountain. For now, I'm Shisho Shroom, and we're actually gonna look into changing that name. I have found that there's another person named Shisho, and anytime you look up my name, there's a lot of getting high on mushrooms, so we're just gonna change it. Hopefully by the next video there will be a new intro, not with that name, and we can start to move forward in a better direction. Thank you so much for watching. I hope to see you next time.